I would love to know, is the Mystics owner going to come out and say that the entire WNBA should be on this cover? I would love to know that. Is the entire Olympic team going to be on this cover?
Have you heard about the most recent move made by Aja Wilson? Instead of enjoying her win as Time Magazine's Woman of the Year, she is complaining, did I s it not unbelievable? With several MVP awards and a championship under her belt, one of the WNBA's brightest talents claims she doesn't receive enough.
I gotta tell you, it must be weird to win an award like Time Magazine's Woman of the Year. I guess there's multiple Women of the Year, but to win one of these awards like this and immediately feel like you are a victim, I'm confused.
This is where things start to get interesting, though. Wilson has been featured on NBA 2K covers, has a signature shoe contract, and is the talk of the league. What's the matter, then? Is there more going on here? Or is this just a case of never being satisfied? Let's examine why Wilson's remarks are so controversial and what they represent for women's basketball going forward.
I'm very confused by this. I don't get it. A'ja Wilson, boy, it's been a bad last week for her, all right? At least on a level of perception. Let's put it that way. She wins this award. There's a quote out there. It looks terrible. I mean, wow, literally, woe is me.
Perhaps you're asking yourself, wait, didn't Aja Wilson just win a big award? Why does she not celebrate? Well, prepare yourself for a head-spinning twist. Basketball player Aja Wilson is not your average player. She has won numerous MVP honors and guided her team, the Las Vegas Aces, to a championship, making her a WNBA superstar. She was recently named the Woman of the Year by Time Magazine. T.O. get a buzzer beater, win the lottery, and be crowned prom queen all at once is like that.
WNBA MVP A'ja Wilson, gymnast Jordan Childs became fast friends in the lead up to the 2024 Olympics. So this is it right here. Women of the Year, A'ja Wilson, right? And there's Jordan Childs right there.
This is where things start to get interesting, though. Wilson is behaving as though she was selected last for a pickup game at the park, rather than popping champagne and performing a victory dance. I ask it not unbelievable. She claims that wearing this crown is difficult and that she must put in 10 times as much effort simply to be noticed. What's happening?
There's days where I'm struggling. It's moments where no matter how hard you work, it still feels like you're not getting the recognition. It still feels like somebody's got to say something to say. I needed them to understand that they help me in more ways than they'll ever know. It's hard showing up every day and wearing this crown. It's heavy. It gets extremely heavy. But at the same time, I'm going to fix it, make sure it's straight, and I'm going to go ahead and do my work.
You may be asking yourself, is she serious? Has she lost sight of all her achievements? We share your confusion. I assure you to let's examine the information. The league has been constantly promoting Wilson. Every time she takes the court, her admirers yell her name, and she has been in advertisements and on magazine covers. She seems to be living the dream of every basketball player.
I don't understand what this lady's doing. I really don't. She's won titles. She's a multiple-time MVP. She's probably the best player in the W as of right now today. And she acts like she's the victim.
But there's still more. Do you recall when Caitlin Clark was the talk of the town, and it was said that she was stealing opportunities from other players? Guess what, though? Wilson was discreetly working on her own trademark shoe agreement with Nike during all of that drama. Yes, she is working on creating her own pair of sneakers.
For the bus, just a few days ago, we found out she always had a signature shoe coming. During that entire Caitlin Clark blow up around the Nike shoe, she knew then that while Caitlin Clark was getting berated and destroyed online and her fans, A'ja Wilson knew then that she had a signature shoe coming, but she's...
What is actually happening here, then? Is there something more going on here? Or is this just a case of never being satisfied? Wilson seems to have an incredible highlight reel of his achievements. She's just observing the bloopers, though. Perhaps she is anxious about maintaining her position at the top or is experiencing the pressure of being there. But you're killing it out there, Aja. So hurry up.
Serious question. When was Asia not recognized last year? Yeah, I get it. She was a predicted unanimous MVP before the season started. The WNBA media fawned over her all year.
Do you know what's truly crazy? Fans are baffled while Wilson continues to gripe about his lack of attention. They're witnessing a player who has received accolades, recognition, and admiration. She seems to be shouting that no one can see her from atop a mountain. It doesn't add up exactly, does it?
She was heralded all season en route to breaking the scoring record, had a Nike sneaker and full clothing line already in the works, was on the cover of NBA 2K. I think her issue was that there was a player with less accolades that was more popular, and that happens in sports. Fans don't simply like a player because of their accomplishments.
The worst part is that, despite all the chatter about her lack of attention, she is really receiving more of it, perhaps not the type of attention she had hoped for. Supporters are beginning to question whether this is simply an instance of a famous athlete losing touch with reality. After all, it's difficult to play the underdog when you're set to unveil your own unique sneaker and are awash in game-winning accolades.
I mean, what recognition is she not getting? Relative to the men again? Is it because she's not the most popular player in the league?
Do you recall when Caitlin Clark was being attacked online? She was stealing the show, and everyone was going crazy over her possible shoe contract. Guess who, though, sat quietly during all of the drama? You won't believe the reason, our girl Aja Wilson.
And it is confirmation that Aja Wilson, who was at the time, prior to Caitlin Clark, the face of the WNBA, sent an angry mob towards a 22-year-old and knew exactly what she was doing.
Wilson had a secret up her sleeve while Clark took the brunt of the criticism. She was concealing something significant, not only avoiding involvement. Wilson was already working on her own branded sneaker, believe it or not. Is it not unbelievable? She was going to reveal her own shocking revelation, but she was playing it cool and letting Clark take all the criticism.
Like, whatever posting that. And a lot of people thought, oh, she was posting that in order to get a signature shoe. Because it did get pushed a few weeks later. Not only was that not true, she is confirmed. She had to keep it secret for almost 2 years. So for almost 2 years, she knew about this.
You may be asking yourself, okay, but what's the big deal? There was nothing for her to say. You're correct, but this is where things start to become interesting. In the present day, Wilson is suddenly preoccupied with the issue of black women in the WNBA being marginalized. Hold on, what? She just let Clark take all the heat, didn't she?
And if you say, oh, she's an NDA, there is nobody, and I mean no NDA, that makes it so that you have to pretend, you have to play victim and pretend you don't have a shoe when you have one coming. You have to stay silent. You don't have to.
She seems to be attempting to have it both ways. When it suited her, she kept quiet, but now she's complaining when she wants attention. Do you have a double standard? Everyone is having trouble understanding it.
She is, the Aja Wilson persona has done a lot of has done one absolutely horrible thing, borderline unforgivable thing towards a 22-year-old, and now she basically just admitted that she did it. It's not the greatest,
But let's take a moment to dissect this. Does Wilson genuinely feel that she's being overshadowed, or is she simply upset that someone else is receiving some attention? Come on, Wilson has been widely covered by the media. She has won several MVP awards and is a fantastic player, and they can't stop gushing about how wonderful she is. What gives then?
It's powerful to me as a black woman in the WNBA. We have our struggles in showcasing who we really are. A lot of agendas get pushed on a lot of different platforms that may shadow us. You work so hard, but you still have to work 10 times harder just to be seen. So when we have our counterparts speak up, it speaks volumes to me. We see people speak up and speak for us.
The problem is that Wilson's current speech makes you believe she is an unheard of athlete trying to gain recognition. However, that couldn't be further removed from reality. For years, she has been a prominent figure in the WNBA. She is well known, has won accolades, has admirers, and has it all. Why, therefore, is she now behaving as though she is invisible?
I guess I just don't understand here in a certain sense. This idea that A'ja Wilson has been overshadowed by white players or hasn't gotten her credit is it because Sabrina has a shoe or Caitlyn is more popular? Again,
as Wilson says, you may be questioning if this is truly about race, but consider it. Does basketball popularity actually? About skin tone? Or is it more about the player's level of excitement to watch? According to some, it's all, regarding play style rather than race. Additionally, it sort of makes sense when you consider how fans respond to various players. Isn't it?
Is that a women's thing? Or women look... Maybe because women haven't been recognized as much? Like, there is some validity to the fact of when you post about women's sports, especially in the past, people would mock you. And maybe that was it. Like, A'ja did great things, but when people were celebrating those great things, people would go, oh, it's just women's sports, or nobody cares. And maybe
for a moment, let's be honest, a lot of controversy is being sparked by Wilson's remarks. She is discussing black ladies. Is being overlooked in the WNBA, but is that truly the case? Or is she simply upset that athletes such as Caitlin Clark are attracting notice? Fans are discussing it, and not everyone agrees with Wilson.
I don't quite understand the notion that like white privilege has been this big thing in basketball, or that A'ja Wilson has been held down, or other players have been held down and not recognized because they're black women. I haven't. Somebody I'm open to the idea, but maybe that's why Clark said it in the first place, because it seems to have resonated. So maybe there's something I'm not seeing and not feeling, or it's certainly something I'm not feeling.
What is actually happening here, then? Is Wilson attempting to be both sides? When Clark was being slammed, she remained silent. Even if she was preparing her own shoe contract, she is now claiming that black women in the WNBA receive insufficient recognition. Even though she's on top of the situation, it seems like she's trying to fabricate the story to make herself appear like the victim. The world.
She has successfully and quickly, in my opinion, in 1 year, she has worked herself into being the LeBron James of the WNBA. All right? Hell of a player, accolades, yada, 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 championships. But some extremely unlikable, nonsensical takes that come out of her mouth. And it certainly makes it hard to want to root for her.
Do you know how your favorite player can't stop whining sometimes? That's precisely what's taking place, though. Currently, with A'ja Wilson, I can assure you that WNBA fans are growing weary of AS though each time she opens. There's a new reason why life is so unjust. According to her mouth, did it not unbelievable?
That second sentence explains a lot. If you're training for a sport to get recognition, you have your priorities all wrong. You need to get therapy and get your head right. Well, you should be playing for championships, I would think. But this is how I feel, okay? This is a victim issue.
People are rolling their eyes and asking questions like, is she serious? What more is she looking for? Seeing a Hollywood star complain about not having enough time on the red carpet is nearly like that. Come on, I mean.
I could be off base, but I feel like she just wants to play the victim card. No doubt about it. It's no feel like. It's all the time. This guy, victim. I don't get it.
This is where things start to get interesting, though, that it's no longer simply about Wilson, it's beginning to alter how individuals view the entire WNBA. Take a moment to consider it. When one of your most well-known celebrities constantly plays the victim, does that entice you to watch and tune in? Most likely not.
We also don't like being told who we have to like and celebrate. That's a big issue. I think A'ja's a great player, but she is not the player I started watching the league for, and I'm not a fan of hers. But I do respect her.
Supporters are beginning to question whether this is the reason the WNBA isn't as well-liked as it could be. Are the players overly preoccupied with whining rather than simply showcasing their abilities on the court? Though it's a difficult question, more people are asking it. As well as...
There you have it. She continues to do things to make herself more and more unlikable. It seems like by the week, by the day. It was just last weekend I had to do the whole blow up over the Nike thing. You know, she led everybody down a roll.
The problem is, though, that players like Wilson's incessant self-pity may be alienating supporters. And that is detrimental to the WNBA's expansion. Who wants to watch a league with the top names constantly there? Are you complaining about something?
It's wild. It's this mentality, this attitude, playing a victim role, being insufferable, being unlikable. This is one of the massive reasons why this league has not turned a profit.
Let's dissect it. When basketball fans check in to watch, they want to see thrilling plays, as well as gamers who adore the game. However, it kind of destroys the atmosphere if all they hear is whining, doesn't it? It's similar to attending a party when the host is always complaining about how awful everything is, not particularly enjoyable, correct?
Because it seems like, half the league feels this way, maybe more. And yeah, that doesn't exactly bring people enjoyment to try to sit there and view people that they know act this way. That's no.
And the annoyance isn't limited to casual fans. Even ardent WNBA fans are beginning to voice their opinions. I love the league, but I'm sick of the hatred they're saying. Or can't we simply concentrate on the incredible? Do these women play basketball? You may be asking yourself, but don't these players have legitimate grievances? Indeed, there are undoubtedly areas in which women's sports may be improved. However, the catch is this. It's possible that dwelling on the bad things all the time is making matters worse rather than better.
Or, I've talked about how there are more, relatively speaking, great white players on the women's side than on the men's side. Sabrina and Diana Taurasi's not black, and Sue Bird, and, Brianna Stewart, and so on and so forth, to Caitlin Clark. But it's not like Caitlin Clark just showed up and was the white, and all of a sudden got all the adulation and attention. I think so much of that is the way Caitlin Clark played.
Why would anyone want to get engaged if you're always telling them how awful things are? It's similar to attempting to sell a car. By enumerating all of its issues, isn't that not a fantastic marketing tactic? What is the actual solution in this case? What steps can the WNBA take to improve this situation? Yes, it is the crucial question. Some believe that the players must pay more attention to the good things. Some argue that the league should promote its stars more effectively. Then there are others who believe that a completely new
I don't know. Because I was told before the season started that A'ja Wilson's the MVP and you're not allowed to say anything. And when I would watch broadcasts, she praised endlessly. And right, she's a great basketball player, don't get me wrong. But what is this overwhelming criticism? Where is the persecution coming from? That's what annoys me.
Here's the thing, people. The whole victim thing with A'ja Wilson, she is no longer the exclusive focus. It's influencing how women's basketball. Perhaps not in the manner she had in mind. Perhaps you're asking yourself, what's the big deal? However, this is where things really get intriguing.
It's not chosen. These things are not chosen. It cannot be forced on people. The media cannot tell you who's going to be popular, and people choose for themselves. It's organic. I mean, you've seen it happen with Hannah Hidalgo to a certain degree on the college scene this year, where she captured a lot of people's imagination because the way she played, despite the fact that both Paige and Juju seem like select forehand, who are both.
What if WNBA players concentrated on connecting and showing off their skills rather than playing the victim card with admirers by telling realistic tales? Do you think that might really result in increased fame and wealth? For the league, it's accurate. Studies reveal that when women's sports leagues showcase their athletes' abilities and provide encouraging tales, fans become more involved. What does it mean to have engaged fans? More merchandise flying off the shelves, more tickets sold, and a more promising future for the entire sport. You may now ask if it's time for WNBA players to alter their approach, their public persona. Perhaps there should be more highlight reels and behind-the-scenes looks at their practice or even enjoyable encounters with supporters. What are your thoughts? Would a change in emphasis be the catalyst the WNBA needs to attain new heights?